What's up, fam? You're watching Fireforge Gaming, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Before we get started, you know I gotta plug my book, The Wren and the Raven, available now on Amazon Kindle. Ash is a thief that uses his skills and guile to steal from the richest nobles in Farstead and help the downtrodden peasants as the infamous Raven. Kale is a knight of the Order of the Wren, and is sworn to uphold the law of the realm in defense of innocent citizens. As the town of Farstead is caught in a titanic struggle between two opposite wills, a dark presence is preparing to strike. And if the Wren and the Raven cannot reconcile their differences, they will not weather the storm to come. If you guys like fantasy and you're looking for a new book series to get into, check out The Wren and the Raven on Amazon Kindle, link in the description. Alright guys, let's talk about some stuff. Monster Hunter World Iceborne has released for PC, and many news outlets have taken to reviewing that expansion as a PC title. One such review is getting a lot of attention. That's PC Gamer's review, written by Sam Greer, and the reason it's getting a lot of attention I think will become clear in a moment. So let me read an excerpt from that review. There's always been an unease for me in playing these games where I'm asked to go out, invade the habitats of these species, and kill them to make the next set of armor and weapons. With World, the discomfort was extreme at times, beating monsters till they limped, then being asked to lop off their tails and hear their whines and squeals. You don't just kill the monsters in these games, you make them suffer. Engaging as its loop is, as enthralling as the fights are, I've always been disappointed that they've created such a rich ecosystem and the only thing they can ask me to do in it is murder everything. Okay. Alright. A lot of people seem to be accusing Greer of injecting his own personal, political view into his commentary, which I actually don't think that's what that is. I don't think that's political in purpose. Maybe it is, but it doesn't really matter because, everything that you do is political. It doesn't really matter that his opinion is political. I don't really see that as the problem. I think what the problem is that Greer's review is contrary to the content of the game that he's reviewing. It's completely opposite of the game that he's playing. It's called Monster Hunter. And in this review, he says that he played some 400 plus hours of the game and somehow was still not comfortable with the fact that he was hunting monsters in Monster Hunter. I don't know. I don't understand why. Nearly every single paragraph in this review is laced with seemingly shoehorned disappointment, in the game loop. And he gave it a stupidly high score for having disliked it so much. He gave it a score of 82 out of 100. That makes no sense. If if it was something that he had that big a problem with, it should surely be scored lower. Many of the comments seem to agree with my sentiment. This one, Ace Badger Gaming, says, "Really disappointed in your take here. I don't understand how you can rate it at an 82, yet make the point you do. In a way, likening it to animal abuse, the way political hacks liken video games to gun violence." I agree with that, with that initial paragraph. That's kind of the same, vein of thought that makes people think that video games cause gun violence. You can compare this game where you have to kill giant dragons to animal violence. I don't know. I see where Sam Greer was coming from with this one, but I think that he expected more from the game than he should have, and then he recognizes that because he gave it such a high score. I don't know. I think at its core, Monster Hunter is a game that has nothing to do with animal violence, and it's all about the struggle between the immense power of these creatures in their habitats and then the immovable will of the hunters, of the players, and the triumph of that struggle, which is something that I think Sam Greer missed. And he knew that he missed something. He knew that it was a popular game and that there was a reason for it to be popular beyond just the fact that, a bunch of people want to kill animals or something. And so he gave it a high score and, knew that he had to give it a high score, and that just didn't really make sense. You know what I mean? So I see why this review is getting a lot of attention. and I disagree with the premise of the review. Most of the opinions shared in the review. Moving on. Pokemon Sword and Shield is getting an expansion. I think this is the first expansion ever for its mainline games. I'm pretty sure it is. So that's a big deal. Usually they drop just whole titles, whole games, in the mid-release cycle. Like they had Pokemon Emerald in between Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and the next generation, whatever that was, and then Pokemon Crystal for Silver and Gold. That's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. I think that's a big deal, especially for a couple of reasons I'll get into. But the Isle of Armor drops in June of this year. Well, the Crown Tundra drops in fall of this year. So that's really cool. But it also raises some questions and answers some questions too, and kind of pisses some people off and puts some people off, and I'm going to discuss why. So I think the first reason that it might put people off is that these expansions are bringing back Pokemon from older generations. So they'll be made available for people who purchase the expansion pass. And so that sort of puts to bed any excuse that they had for not including them in the base games. Not that, they had any really good excuses. They said something about, needing to spend time on the graphical fidelity, which it's not much better than the previous games. And something about the animations, like the character animations, which, like, pretty much every Pokemon has, like, 1 or 2 animations, right? And then that's their, they just sub them in for their movesets. So it's like, that was never a good reason. But now it's made obvious why they held back those Pokemon, so that they could sell them back to us piecemeal in expansion packs. It's encroaching on the territory of predatory business practices that I do not like. The entire reason that I haven't played Destiny 2 at all, even though it's free now and I can play the whole base game for free, and even though it's supposedly a much better game because of the Forsaken DLC, I don't touch Destiny 2 because the game didn't launch as a good game that they, as the game that they promised, and then they released content piecemeal to bring it up to the expectations of its of the player base. And in doing that, they were able to make their money 2 or 3 times over by selling ridiculously overpriced DLC for content that we probably should have already had in a game that was not yet complete. For me, at least, the idea of holding on to content that you already had, so you can you can parse it out piecemeal with expansions, is a practice that compels me to not even buy a game that I might otherwise enjoy, like Pokemon. I enjoy Pokemon, but this sort of business practice threatens to make me not want to pick this up at all. But I don't know, man. I don't think I can get behind this business practices. They are getting away with gating content behind expansions that I don't think are fairly priced. It's $29.99, which is I think that's the price of the base game, is $29.99, right? I'm keeping an eye on this. That being said, I am excited to learn more about Armor of Isle and Crown Tundra. I just might not be playing it, and that's sad. That's all for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below about what you think I should cover next, or any sort of gaming news that you think I might not have heard of. This has been another episode of Hot Takes, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.